Hi everyone, it's Kimber, the Study Abroad Specialist. In today's video, we are going to be talking about foreign exchange programs. This is a question that I get asked a lot about because as students are going through and trying to figure out what their study abroad plans are, they often are trying to figure out if a foreign exchange program is the right option for them. And a lot of students want to know the difference. And so we're going to be covering that in today's video. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, please definitely do that. And please also like this video. So as you're thinking about foreign exchange programs or cultural exchange programs, as they are called a lot of times, they are really interesting because they are different than traditional study abroad programs, but they often lead to a similar result. So with foreign exchange programs or cultural exchange programs, it's really designed for students to focus on the culture of wherever they are trying to go. So that is why it's built into the fact that you have a specific program that is designed to make sure that you are experiencing a lot of the different culture. Usually it comes with the opportunity to live with a host family. And so what that means is at the bottom line of it all, it's all based on partnership. So most cultural exchange programs, foreign exchange programs are based on partnerships between schools. So that means that let's say whatever high school or current college or university that you are at, they have a partnership with another school at that same level in another country. So for example, I know that there are a lot of students who are from the US that will go and do cultural or foreign exchange programs in China or in different parts of Asia or different parts of Africa. It's the same thing for a lot of students who are coming from the UK. They will do foreign exchange programs in other parts of Europe, or they'll go to Canada. And so what that means is that typically your school will have a partnership with a select amount of other schools. Let's say you're in a high school, they will have a select partnership with other schools in other countries at the same level, and it'll be based on a variety of things. So it could be based on maybe language, it could be based on maybe you're an agriculture focused school, and so they have partnerships with other schools that really focus on agriculture or that focus on engineering, different things like that. And that's how they decide who they're going to partner with. And then typically they will do maybe an equal exchange. It sometimes will be maybe they'll send 50 of their students and 50 of the other students will come. Sometimes it's not equal out like that, but it's based on allowing students to be able to get experience in a different place. And along with that as well, within that partnership, you have host families and host partners who allow the students to be able to live with them. So that is something that is very unique to exchange programs, because again, it gives the students a way to be able to properly integrate into the culture. So you're not just kind of arriving and showing up into a new country and not knowing anyone. You get a chance to really be able to see the culture by living with people who they live there and they take you in. And I know from a lot of the students that I've worked with and advised who have done exchange programs that it's really useful for them, because not only do they get a chance to actually meet new people in the place right away, but they build these long-term relationships. And particularly if you're in high school or just starting out in your undergraduate degree and you're able to do that, it's going to be really useful, because maybe one day you want to go back and live in that place. You already know people and you know people who live there, they're from that particular place. So that is a really great thing about exchange programs. Another question that students really have as they are trying to research exchange programs is, how are they different from study abroad programs? So if you already have been on this channel for a while, you know that I've talked about the three most common types of study abroad programs. So we have the institutionalized or faculty-led. So these are the ones that are run by your current school. So that may sound a little bit similar to exchange programs, but it's not. And then we have the individualized, much more independent ones, which are going to be run by companies who are usually nonprofits. And then we have the sort of self-led, which is typically going to be degree-long programs. So specifically for the faculty-led and institutionalized, while those are often hosted by the schools that you are currently at, it's a lot different than an exchange program, because number one, you are not necessarily going for a cultural experience when you sign up for a faculty-led program. Now, obviously, if you are going to a new country, you're going to get a cultural experience in some aspects, but that is not the total outcome of what you're going to be doing for faculty-led. Whereas With an exchange program, that is the entire purpose, and a lot of what you're doing is built around that. The other thing about it as well, for study abroad, traditional study abroad versus exchange programs, is that it's not always focused on academics. So a lot of them are focused on academics, but there are some aspects where you may be doing these large volunteer programs. You may be even going to exchange and work in a place and learn about, like I said, if you're wanting to go into engineering or agriculture, or there's so many different fields out there, you may be actually going to work. Whereas with traditional study abroad programs, you typically are going to study in a different country. And so even if you are doing it through your school, it's a lot different setup. You're much more of just a student. Whereas with cultural exchange or foreign exchange, again, you may be doing more than just studying. So that is just a little bit of a difference of how that works in terms of traditional study abroad and cultural exchange programs. Now, another thing that students have a question about is in terms of the actual pricing and how much it costs. Now, we've already covered the fact that for most traditional study abroad programs, it's a lot different. You are much more just considered a student. For cultural exchange programs, foreign exchange programs, one of the great things about it is that through these partnerships that the schools have, as we talked about, they can keep it cost effective. So one of the great things is that if you do have a scholarship at your current school, you will likely be able to keep that, and you can go ahead and use that as part of your tuition to be able to exchange. Now, some of the programs you may still have to pay for your own flights, you may still have to pay for your own visa. It really just depends, but they try and make it as cost effective as possible. Another thing that is great is, as I talked about earlier with the host families, a lot of the host families are responsible for helping with obviously they're supplying you with the housing, so that's a huge burden taken off of your plate. But also as well, a lot of times they will help with the weekly things and the monthly things you're going to need, like helping to pitch in for your food and for any type of other stipends you might need for travel or things like that throughout the place that you're going to be. So that's always a nice thing to sort of think about in terms of the cost effectiveness of an exchange program and how it can be really useful if it's something that maybe you were just trying to get initial experience to be able to say, like, hey, I did go abroad, and yeah, I did study abroad a little bit, but then maybe you want to come back and do a traditional study abroad program, but a cultural exchange program is going to be a lot more useful to you at this particular time. So that probably leads you to thinking about, well, who can actually do, or who should do, a cultural or foreign exchange program. These programs are going to be great for a lot of students. I really feel that in my past experience, just working with students who have done these, that it really is great for students who kind of have a specific field in mind. So again, thinking about whether it be nursing, or if they want to go into medicine, they really want to work with students who are people who are going to be maybe a little bit less fortunate. Maybe in the future they want to go work in a third world country, or for students who are really passionate about the arts or STEM or whatever it's going to be, that a lot of times that particular program works better than traditional study abroad. Because again, as I said, you may not just be limited to the classroom. In terms of the actual grade levels, most students who are doing exchange programs are either going to be in high school or secondary school, or they're going to be in their undergraduate degrees. There are some graduate programs around the world who have exchange programs, but those tend to be very specific, and you have to have showed that you've built up the ability to sort of persevere within those. So if you are in the higher level of, let's say, a law school or even a graduate level school, it may not be the right option. You may want to consider doing something that is going to lead you to maybe an apprenticeship abroad or an internship abroad, where you still get that experience, but it's not necessarily focused on just doing the direct cultural exchange. Those tend to benefit students who are a lot younger, because again, one of the things that I have found as I've worked with students, and I know that a lot of other advisors also talk about, is the fact that a lot of students will go off when they are, let's say, 16, 17, 18, even into their early 20s, do a cultural exchange program. And then before they leave college, let's say, or right after college or university, they will go and do a traditional study abroad. And they're able to sort of be able to work their network. Maybe they go back to the same place, and then afterwards they can go and find a job, and all these great things sort of come from it. Or if they even go to a different place, they've at least gotten sort of two different perspectives. And so it's a really nice way to be able to do that. And so one of the other things that a lot of students like to think about is, how do I actually go about finding programs like this? So one of the wonderful things that you can do that's really exciting is, particularly for Rotary International. I'm going to link some information in the description box about them, but they are really known for helping students around the world, not just in America, but around the world, be able to find these cultural exchange programs. Again, with the Rotary Club, if you have ever been around a Rotary Club or ever heard about them, that's something that they're very passionate about. And particularly with the cultural exchange, that is one of the tenets that they help with. And so it's going to be really useful for you to really sort of look into that. The other thing that you can do as well is thinking about opportunities from your local government. So lots of local governments, again, work closely with schools who have partnerships. And so if you look at your local government opportunities for scholarships and for different exchange programs, you will find that a lot. I know that the US government has a lot of exchange programs. The Canadian government does, and lots of European governments. And I'm assuming that lots of other countries as well have that. So that's a great way to do that. Again, it also helps to promote things like diplomacy and just kind of the good of overall people getting a chance to come to other countries and experience what different countries have to offer. So in terms of thinking about study abroad and what your next steps should be, I would say that you need to watch this video and then this video so that you can learn more about what study abroad is and how you should go about pursuing it. I will see you on the next one.